Good morning, everybody, and thanks very much to ICD and to Mark Donfield, of course, and to be part of what's called the advisory board. As you introduced me, you said that I am former president, and I used to say all of us, besides which title we have, we will be former in the last end. But I was, as you said, chaired the European Economic and Social Committee between 2010 and 2013. We have the same traditions as the European Parliament. We have a rotation in the middle of the mandate for different positions. So with the 5 years mandate, the president is chairing the committee in 2.5 years. And when I took the office, I have to present a work program, and I did it under the title Engaging People for a Sustainable Europe. But I also added a sustainable word. It's not enough to talk about always European Union. We have a globe to take care of. But for me, sustainability and sustainable Europe, it's not only the different pillars. You can talk about ecologic, you can talk about economic, you can talk about social, but it is also the history of Europe and European Union, which is not least to be seen today when there is this 25 years celebration of the falling wall. I will try to explain a little briefly what the European Economic and Social Committee is for, something for animals in the machinery of European Union. If you read the official journal, I don't know if you have the lucky to read the official journal from European Union. It's somebody perhaps knows the paper. It's not so paper you put on the table by night to read. But if you read for incoming legislation, you can see that before the Council take a decision, they have consulted 3 bodies. Of course, the European Parliament, which nowadays have full power in the policy-making process. But they have also consulted European Economic and Social Committee and the Committee of Region. And these 2 committees is, by the treaty, advisory body. The EESC, the European Economic and Social Committee, is stated from the beginning in the Rome Treaty. And I have to say we are dealing with political topics, but we are not really politicians. We are what we say representatives from organized civil society. And in 22, 23 member states, you have a similar body, where you compose, for instance, in EESC, you have the social partners. The social partners are the employers' business side. It is the trade unions, and there is a third group, which looks like a picture of how non-governmental organizations exist in all member states, 28 member states. We have 22, 23 member states where you have similar structures. Where you have bodies composed of this mixture of social partners and others with the obligations to express their views in the EU policy-making process. But it's not enough that we participate in this policy-making. We have also a lot of external contacts, obligation by the Parliament and sometimes of the EU summit. We have relations on talk with China, with Brazil, with Latin America, and of course, Turkey and other applicant countries coming hopefully later as member in European Union. So civil society is a little tricky body. We are dealing, as I said, with politics, but we are not politicians. So when I am home myself, I work normally without tie, with milking my cows. I'm a farmer, and I was appointed in 1995 as a member of the EESC. But in my real life, home, when I can be home, I run my farm and do my business. But I go to Brussels. I leave my interests at home, I go to Brussels, and my vision, my obligation is to do what I think is the best for the European Union. I put my title as a Europe with less and lower borders. And I regret a little that I said Europe. I want it because I will also touch this in a little more global context. This day is, as we said, and it was said several times yesterday, here and downstairs, 25 years after the wall was broken. But if we go further back, there was another wall which was broken some decades, some hundred, some thousand years before. Which wall is I'm thinking on? The wall was broken during 6 days. And in some way it's more environmentally friendly because it was done by trumpet. The trumpet should sound. Joshua and Jericho. The bad thing is, it was not a friendly broke. It was a battle which still exists in the Middle East after thousands of years. So the question is for me, is there a role of civil society in the process to make a sustainable world and a sustainable economy and sustainable business? I was in Tunis 2 weeks before the demonstration started. I was in an official dinner, paid probably by the outgoing president. But 2 weeks before, we had no indication what should happen. And of course, after 2 weeks, when you see what happened, perhaps you were not so proud to be in an official dinner. But the wall in Berlin and the wall in the Arabic Spring, okay, we cannot call it perhaps spring, we don't know which season we have, but it was a transformation. It was not done by a political decision. There was no decision saying, we will break down the wall. There was no political decision in the Arabic countries to say we will change, we will have more democracy or whatsoever. It was a reaction of people. It was a situation where people took an initiative. I will be careful to say that, okay, in a democracy we have to respect decision taking. We cannot support or to say that we should break democratic taken decision. But what's happened in these two cases was initiative, not from the politicians. And I will come back to see if I can put this in the context of the role of the civil society. But let me come back a little to what we talk about here in this floor, about social business and sustainable business and sustainable economy. In European Union, as you know, we have an internal market. It's risky that it's falling down, like the wall. But we had the internal market, as I said. It was to break down walls. When it was created, this free movement, not only of people or walls. When it comes to people, I am concerned about the development. I will add this in between brackets about the development, what we see in the anti-skeptics and the willingness from some political level to close borders for foreigners and for people even inside the European Union. But the internal market was to break down walls. But if you look in reality to the internal market, you can say that there is still walls. And Commissioner Barnier took in his cabinet initiative to propose 50 different proposals to try to get the internal market to function much better. And my question is, in the business field, sustainability, is trade sustainable? Is trade walls or not. We had 12 years ago a first start under WTO, as you know probably, the so-called Doha round, which was for development. It was agreed that the next round to discuss global trade should be in favor of the developing countries. After 12 years, some step has been taken, but not in reality. So now, instead of multilateral talks, you have bilateral talks between different regions. European Union, they have had already an agreement with Korea, they have with Canada, and a big issue is if there will be a free trade agreement with the United States. But is, as I said, trade a wall or not? And I think it depends on. You can see in European Union sometimes when you are afraid for the economic development that even some member states want to close and to build a new wall in order to protect their industry or their situation. I think it's a wrong way to go. I think it's the dangerous way to go. But I think also it's very, very timely to discuss sustainable economy and sustainable business. Why? European Union created a strategy for sustainable development, SDS, in 2006. As you know, European Union has another strategy to come back of growth and jobs, which is called 2020, which replaced an old strategy called Lisbon strategy. 2020. As you probably remember, there was 2012 in Rio, a big world leader summit called Rio Plus 20. 20 years after the first Rio event about sustainable development, 40 years after the first United Nations summit for sustainable development in Stockholm. I participated in Rome 20+20, 2012, and represented the European Economic and Social Committee, but also the view of civil society. Around all these events, you know that there is parallel sessions run by civil society or organizations. They can have different views, but some of them promote very strongly the development. Some of them promote strongly the environmental side, but there is a big activities of civil society. But why did I say that it is timely? If you remember, United Nations also 10 years, 2005, took a plan to reduce the poverty in the world, called Millennium Development Goals. It will run out 2015. So now there is a trial from the world leader to merge the Sustainable Development Goals, which was taken in Rio +20, 2012, to the Millennium Development Goals, and to talk about Sustainable Development Goals. It means that sustainability and goals for sustainability should go in favor of the development. Now there is an ongoing process. There will be, and you will read in the paper in the next 1.5 years, there will be in 1 month a big summit in Lima. There is an ongoing working group to formulate these sustainable development goals. Until now there is a proposal of 70 with 169 targets. If this will come to an end and to be decided by the world leader 2015, we have to see, but we hope, I hope. And I think, and I will come back to my thoughts about the role of civil society. As I said, we are not the politicians. And civil society organization, which is citizens going together with their interest, with engagement, and with their knowledge. And I sometimes feel that beside the political level, civil society is a glue which keeps a society together. I have to admit that always NGOs, not perhaps always have the correct opinion, because the opinion needs to be based, in my view, on the evidence of the scientific and research in order to be true. But the civil society has a role to play in the policy-making process, and not least to promote and to strengthen and to see that you as politicians you have support for the right decision, even if sometimes, as it was said yesterday, some of the decisions politicians have to take is difficult, go against, and they will risk to even lose votes. But you can be supported by also good activities from civil society. So my conclusion is, coming back to my question I raised, that there was no political decision to take down the walls. It was an activity by people. And this, for me, shows that sometimes there is a need to involve citizens directly, and it was said in a very interesting discussion downstairs that in the political life, you need to speak, you need to explain, but you need also to listen. And you need to, in my view, to involve, if you want to have a sustainable development, a sustainable society, which includes sustainable business, a social protection, decent jobs, you need and you should invite and engage and take use of representatives from civil society. I don't see anybody falling asleep yet, but I'm a little afraid if I continue too much, to repeat or to say something more clever, perhaps some of you want to go to bed. But if you have, wait with the applaud. Sometimes I have used it once when there was a speaker who spoke very, very, very long. And suddenly he made a break to take a breath, and I started to applaud. And everybody followed, and he finished. Thank you very much indeed.